Hey, GW coming to you live. I just wanted to break in and talk to you guys just a second about two things. One involving me, the other involving an actor which some of you may or may not have known. We'll start with the actor first. So the other day, my wife is scrolling through the phone and she says, "Hey, Greg, that kid from Elf died." And I went, "What?" Because it took me a minute to process, who that was. And it's Benji Gregory. And he played Brian on the show Elf. So if you haven't seen it, I think it's on Tubi or Peacock, and you can check it out there. When I started reading about his death, it's kind of like a freak accident type thing, guys. He was making some deposits, and he got in his car, and I guess passed out and died of heat stroke. And this was in California. So I was like, whoa. Because you forget about these kids. You forget about, all the kids. Like the Punky Brewster chick. Some people forget about her until they see the reboot. Or some people forget about, like I said, Alf. Or, what about the kid that played Luke on Growing Pains? Or not Luke, Ben on Growing Pains. He does voices for cartoons now. Yes, he does. But, yeah, I wanted to tell you guys that because it just came as a shock, and it just goes to show you that, tragedies can happen all over the place. In addition to Alf, he worked on a couple more series. He also worked on a couple movies. And I really don't know anything else he's been because that's the signature role. And for you guys who don't know what a signature role is, that means if a role makes a kid famous, that's what he's stuck with. That's what people remember him by. Okay? Come to think of it, where the hell is Jaleel White? The kid that played Steve Urkel. I don't know. But, yeah, I just wanted to say that, talk about that for a second. Yeah, and just tell you guys. I mean, you guys can check out the whole story. Apparently, he was blind because the report said he had a service dog, and you're like going, whoa. And it was shocking, came out of nowhere, but all these things do. You know what I mean? On the flip side of that, so a lot of the YouTube people know. They know me very well. You guys have followed my videos. I talk about my wife, here and there. And I just wanted to say that my wife reminded me today that today we were together 21 years. You think so? Say hi. And 21 years we've been together. And when she texted it to me, I was shocked because it really didn't seem that long. And it says a few things about me and her. One, when we got married, like any married couple, we didn't know if this would last or what would happen in the future. But 21 years, I think we outlasted, we outlasted a lot of couples in the world. And we're going to be married 17 years this September. And at no point in this relationship, yeah, we had fights and everything like that, like normal couples. We've had disagreements mostly about money, some about food, some about stupid things like decorating. But at the end of the day, good or bad, someone stays with you for 21 years. A, they're happy. B, that you're not a normal couple because you're not sitting there in couples therapy or marriage therapy, talking about your problems. And number three, there's nobody else in the world that I would rather be with. And I know a lot of you don't care, you know, some of you don't care. But to me, it's a big deal because whenever I met her, I knew she was the one. I didn't know she felt the same way about me. So we started dating, and I met her at Butler Area Votech and met her in computer class. And we hit it off, and of course, a year or two into the relationship, I was stupid because I thought somebody was better than her. Turns out they weren't. I made a big mistake, and she went off and did her thing, and I moved back home and didn't really date a lot, guys. I really didn't. I didn't. I just didn't care. At that point in my life, I didn't care. And when we got back together, it was like immediately nothing had happened between us. We picked up right where we left off. And I can remember the night, guys. I can remember the night. I was sitting there with a case of beer. We had just got HBO at my parents' house, and I'm sitting there watching Jerry Maguire. That's how long ago this was, right? So I was drinking pretty good, watching the movie, getting a little buzz going, you know, getting a little bit more in the buzz going, you know what I'm saying? And she called, and we talked about everything. And we were on the phone probably to about, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock. The movie started at like 7, right, on HBO. And it was over probably about like 10:30, somewhere around there. I don't know. But we were talking. Didn't even watch the movie. I was too busy talking to her. And that was the last days of the VCR era, you know, because I was recording it for my sister. And we got back together, and we've been together ever since. And we did the whole marriage thing. You know, we did the whole thing. And you know, I know she's going to stumble across this, guy. She's not home. She's working late. And I know that she's probably going to look at me and I don't know. But I want her to know there's nobody in the world that's quite like her. Because what you guys don't know, I mean, I talk about her here and there, but what you guys don't know is, you know, she comes from a big Italian family. She's very smart. She's very caring, and she will do anything in the world for anybody she cares about. She, on a number of occasions, has gone out of her way to make other people feel good, even if she wasn't feeling good herself. She is very charismatic, and a lot of times you don't know how far she's going to go, and she's seen me at my best and she's seen me at my worst. And we've been through a lot, more than most couples probably in their life have been through. Every time that we had a big fight, I always pictured her leaving and us talking it out, you know, like they do in the movies. But you know what? She never did that. I keep telling her that the blood that runs inside her is the blood that runs inside of me, because I think we're linked, we're hooked. And I think that's the key thing about couples, if they have the perfect chemistry. And it's not always going to be smooth sailing, but if there's a lot of commonplace, and she's a pretty awesome woman. I mean, she'll do things most women won't do. She'll sit down here and she'll watch deathmatch wrestling tournaments with me. She'll listen to gangster rap. She'll watch movies most women don't approve of, you know. And she'll go out of her way to show me she loves me. And she doesn't have to do any of it. But you know what? She does. And for those of you who know her, then you know what kind of a person she really is. But I just wanted to say to my wife, who I've been with 21 years, I love you. And you're my everything. And I wouldn't be anything today without you. And what I just said could be taken a number of different ways. People could dissect it, analyze it, or say, hey, Greg, you watch too many cheap 80s movies. But you know what? I have a picture of her in a wedding hall. And I swear to God, she's got an angel wing. And the thing is that I don't know how I even got her. I gave her all the cheap lines, guys. I took all these 80s movies, poetry. I tried to be the badass. I tried to, talk all kinds of sex talk to her. I did all kinds of crap. But you know what? None of that mattered. She stuck with me because at the end of the day, guys, I'm pretty faithful. I don't want anybody else. I never did. I just wanted her. And I think it's just memorable that I've been with the same woman 21 years when some people can't even hold a relationship for a week. And in that time, we got a cat. His name's Fuzzy. He's mommy's baby. And I promised Dawn I'd get her a dog, but that never happened. But I just wanted to share that with you. That we've been together 21 years, and we're not doing anything crazy. It's not our wedding anniversary or nothing. I just sat there and I went, 21 years. Whoa. Like, the time just flew by. And when you're in love with somebody the way that I love her, you see a couple break up or fight, right? And you want to run home and grab her and give her a hug and say, I love you. That's the way that my mind works. I know you guys don't really. I just wanted to share that with you. But the Benji Gregory thing was pretty sad. And I had forgotten about the kid. Like I said, Alf was such a long time ago. I remember watching Alf. God, I was like 6 or 7. You guys remember that? That thing was huge. And then they blew it with a stupid TV movie. And Alf never came back. And Alf was such a hit in the 80s. I mean, that show had it all. A Muppet to Talk, Crazy Neighbors, Cool Family. And it launched a lot of merchandise, guys, from Alf figures to Alf dolls. I think they had everything but an Alf video game, all right? And then they made a stupid TV movie which didn't really solve anything. I don't know. I just don't know, guys. Alf should be brought back. Or at least have one of those show reunions like they did with Friends. And maybe in the beginning, maybe you remember, you do a tribute to Benji Gregory and Max Wright, and all the people that weren't there. Because that was a show that I grew up on, and that's a show a lot of people hold dear, just like Night Court. I grew up watching that. I love Night Court because it was crazy and silly, and Dan Fielding was my man. Yes, even at 6 or 7, Dan Fielding was teaching me how to be a player. So thank you, Joan Larroquette. Because you guys didn't know that. And some of those old shows, they bring back not only remembrances of the show, but you could remember where you were, when you were a kid, It's funny because I remember Different Strokes used to be on. Used to be on early. 7:30. 7 or 7 o'clock, I think it was on an early evening. And I can remember watching the 2-parter Hooray for Hollywood, which is one of my favorite ones. And I remember they were at Universal Studios, and I knew about the place because I was all into movies, and I had a good, upbringing, and I had a good, Jaws and everything, Bates Motel. I knew about all that stuff. And I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I saw the scene on the TV. Arnold is skipping a rock across the water and Jaws pops out, right? Yeah, it was one of the few times the shark worked. I'm going to tell you that. But I remember watching that and running down to the strip mine pond closest to my house, and I remember skipping a rock. Jaws never popped out. But I had the scene stuck in my head, and that's what I'm saying. That I remember the scene and I remember what I did. That's what I'm telling you. That TV shows will take you back to your childhood. And it's insane. And nothing really else, guys. Nothing really else. We went to a funeral on Monday, and it was rough. And again, I just, want to wrap this video up by, not only thanking all of you guys who watch me, but I wanted to thank my wife personally and tell her thank you for sticking with me through thick and thin. And I love you more than I can ever tell you. I love you more than anybody loves anybody. And I don't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing without you. And when you stumble across this, I hope you give me a hug. Because, I don't know. But anyway, so as far as movies go, nothing going on. I am going to attempt to watch an unearthed movie called Cannibal. It came out a couple years ago. It's out of print. And from what I hear, it's a very grisly, graphic, almost unwatchable movie about an actual cannibal case in London. And it looks pretty sick, and I'm going to try to check it out. And I'm going to tell you guys what's what. In a Violent Nature is a very good film. I've heard so much about the ending of that since I reviewed that film. Currently watching the 3-6 Mafia movie Choices, and I'm going to have to do a review on that. Still haven't watched Oppenheimer yet. There's a few movies that are on my radar that I actually want to cover. So I'm going to try to cover whatever I can. And I know I keep putting the Dr. Giggles Larry Drake thing on the back burner. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to get to those too. In the meantime, you guys stay with me. It'll be a heck of a ride. We got a lot of summer movies coming up, a lot of summer horror films. I also got some Japanese movies to review, Versus, Machine Gun Girl, which that movie is crazy. I'll have to get on here one day and talk about that. If you like Tokyo Gore Police, you'll love this. Same kind of cheesy, prosthetic, over-the-top, ultra-violent rain showers of blood type deal. But more in a superhero vein. And yeah, so right now, tomorrow, we're going to try to check out Cannibal and see how graphic this thing really is. All right, GW, and I will see you later.